Is Key West's military housing making people ill? For over a month, we've been following the stories of military families who claim that living on base on Sigsbee Island is making them sick. They say something in those houses is causing an alarming number of health issues, and their children are the main victims.
Oh. So, but this is all, if you could see, it's gross. They said from when it flooded, and then also, could you please go sit down? And from when we get the king tides, the moisture is coming through the concrete slab, and it's not sealed, and there's no moisture barrier in between the concrete slab. And yeah. See, this one's really wet.
Oh my God.
They clean up.
There are approximately 500 homes on Sigsbee Island. Most are occupied by the families of active military personnel. All the houses are owned and managed by a for-profit British conglomerate named Balfour Beatty. This is Adele DeBarbo. After she and her daughter became ill, Adele became convinced that the mold in her Navy home was responsible. She said all of her complaints have been left unanswered.
So these are apartments where that got damaged during Wilma.
Yes.
Correct? So they had a lot of water. How much water did they have in them?
About 5 feet, because I was here right after Wilma. And
Adele says the homes were not repaired properly after the 2005 hurricane.
They didn't even start work on those houses until maybe 4 or 5 months after Wilma, if that, maybe 6 months. So all that time the water was sitting in there, and anytime we had a water damage in where we were living on Dewey, because my roof flooded twice. I mean, water coming in from the ceiling, the light fixtures. They just came in, they patched a hole in the roof, then they painted where the damage on the ceiling was.
Most people did not want to appear on camera. However, some tenants, frustrated by the lack of response from the Navy's housing management, have begun sharing their health concerns in a Facebook group. There are over 100 members in the group called Sigsbee Housing Health Issues.
Hello all. I lived in Sigsbee townhomes for 2 years. After we got there, my son, who was 1.5 to 2, started getting these bumps. I can't for the life of me remember the scientific name right now. Anywho, they started spreading. After some research, I found out that it could have been caused by fungus. They eventually went away with treatments. About 6 months prior to us leaving, my son started having breathing problems. He ended up needing treatments 2 to 3 times a day. Doctors just kept saying allergies, asthma, etc. We went away for a week to Tampa for my daughter's state competition. The entire time we were gone, he didn't need any breathing treatments. As soon as we got back home, it started again.
Tell me about the sickness. So what happened with your family?
Like with my husband, what really scared me was when he started to repeat himself constantly, and I'm like I'd say to him, "You just told me that." I'm like, he goes, "No, I didn't." I said, "Yes, you did." And then I told my friend about it. She worked for Balfour Beatty at the time, and it was so funny because they were battling a lawsuit up in Virginia with a guy with suffered short-term memory loss because of the mold house they lived in. So when she got that story, she forwarded it to me immediately, and she said, "Check this out. This maybe Jason, is going through this." And I'm like, "Oh my God!" And I told him, I said, "We're getting out of this house."
So has Balfour Beatty done any work to renovate any of those homes that you're?
It's just putting band-aids on a lot of the problem. Like, if you call about something that's broken, or if you do call about mold, they come in, they wipe it up with bleach, like I said, or scrape the roof or whatever, and then they paint over it. This is another day. I mean, look at my eyes now. I'm fine, right? This is how I would wake up most days. Swollen eyes.
Swollen eyes, yeah.
It's just all mold and da-da-da-da. And Dr. Rocchino, who is in charge of the Navy Clinic, said in that meeting, the issues with housing is so bad that he had to hire an environmental health officer at the Navy Clinic. His name is Fox. There's an influx of the same symptoms over and repeatedly.
Okay.
So they know.
So what happened with your daughter? There's a picture in here with your daughter.
She had pneumonia. We both had it at the same time. She was on a breathing treatment at the doctor's office. We would go in and they would just do a breathing treatment and give us medicine, and send us on our way.
And so what kind of studies have been done by anybody that's in charge of
None.
making sure people...
So we came back with a mold expert from Inspect Key West. Hugh Johnson is a certified home inspector and mold assessor.
All the equipment.
Sticky material on it, and so the spores get caught. Trap. And then I send it off to the lab. That runs for 5 minutes. And the lab looks at it under a microscope and they identify the spores and they count them.
That's awesome. You can pull it back as much as you need to.
So towards the bottom.
The inspector quickly discovered that the base of the
So
walls
rusty. I
were
wonder if
damp.
they did it before.
The old AC is also a possible culprit.
Oh, like it could have got wet.
Yeah, how rusty it was there in there.
So Adele says that these are the old ones that went under during Wilma. And it's a relic from...
Well, that could be a big part of your problem.
Adele thinks Balfour Beatty's search for highest profit is the reason why Sigsbee housing has not been renovated.
And then what is the rent per month? Like
Right,
what?
they pay $3,100 a month. Thousands have been paid for 6 times already.
Yes.
Are you kidding me? Say the least amount of BH is $25.72, I think. So let's go with a middle number like $2,800, because some pay as high as $3,200, $3,300, or more for the officers. So let's say $2,800 times 700 houses a month.
Right, it's a lot of money.
That's a lot for houses that have been paid for already. Okay.
How much is that?
I got a calculator. 700 times 2,800. 1,960,000.
$2 million a month?
Oh.
Balfour Beatty profit has been a subject of controversy in Key West. 4 years ago, the blue paper blew the whistle on the company after discovering they'd escaped paying millions of dollars in local property taxes. The Florida legislature reacted by granting them a property tax exemption. Then Balfour convinced the Navy to let them sell Perry Court so the company could keep improving housing for military families. According to the Financial Times, Balfour earned $4.2 billion in the U.S. alone last year, yet restoration of its Key West housing stock has remained at a standstill. The Navy has declined to comment on this story. However, a few years back, the Blue Paper obtained copies of a series of emails from then Key West Base Commander Holmes. The bottom line, he said, is that I think the military members are going to continue to get the short end of the stick in this deal when the entire project was put together to improve quality of life in our housing areas. In the meantime, complaints on the Sigsbee Housing Issues Facebook page continue to pile up.
I lived here for 2 years, and when we moved in, I would always smell a weird odor, and my throat and eyes would burn when I walked through the laundry room. After opening the slide-out door, we saw it had some spots growing on it, and called it in. Long story short, it kept coming back worse and worse, and they kept denying it was mold. It spread all throughout the laundry room and in the kitchen. The guy who would come to repair it was in shock and just agreed that it was bad. When I walk by now, I can smell the weird odor again, and my throat hurts, so I'm guessing that's not good. My daughter does have asthma now and needs breathing treatments regularly, and my son also gets bumps all over, which I was told is eczema, but who knows? Again, just ready to move.